Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. My apologies for any of you who are thinking, wow, I thought they were going to start a little while ago. I forgot to hit the go live button. We are the home for education across the world, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. And our show today is here live on USA Global TV and Radio, as well as E360 TV and all of their destinations. A Woman's Prerogative is a show for women, by women, about women. And I'm here with some of our full-time panelists. Our topic today is the benefit of hindsight. So let's jump right into it. Welcoming Caroline HEWARD. She's known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. In case you haven't heard, she just celebrated a milestone birthday. Let's welcome her. Hello, Caroline.
Ooh, hello. And yes, I've just joined the 60-year Mile High Club.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today, and I'm glad that you had a wonderful birthday. You're glowing. You look very happy.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful to be here.
You are most welcome. And we have Dr. Justina MUTALE with us today as well. And she is African Woman of the Year. She is an author. She's won all kinds of awards. She's a keynote speaker, and she's really a global connector. Every time I see her on Facebook, she's somewhere else in the world making a difference. Let's welcome her. Hello.
Hello, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, and happy birthday, Caroline. Welcome to the 60s. It's a brilliant age to be alive in the 60s. You will love it.
I'm already loving it.
You know, it's interesting. We're really lucky that we're in our 60s now, as opposed to decades ago, because there's been so many advancements and changes. And so I do feel liberated at 61. I feel like I have a lot more going for me than I did when I was younger. And I think part of that has to do with hindsight. Caroline, you came up with the benefit of hindsight. So we're going to get into the topic, and you can describe to us how and why you came up with it. But first, why don't you introduce yourself to the new people who are joining us on the platform and let them know about anything special you might have coming up?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Well, I help people literally bust their stress, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, behavioral, whether they're complaining about that relationship or they're complaining about a friendship, whether they're aching and paining, not sleeping at night, whether they've had a recent bereavement issue, whether they're suffering with anxiety, stress, or depression. Stress shows up in all sorts of ways, and it's how the mind and body are connected and what happens when there's an imbalance, and the imbalance is a symptom. Many people are walking around and saying, I'm not stressed, but then in the next breath, they're turning around and saying they're not sleeping very well, or they might be complaining about a relationship or their intimacy challenges. I help people break through the patterns that are creating the root cause of their stress. And it's like a revolving door. Your stress appears regularly in the same manifestations, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or behavioral. And so I help you break through those patterns using root cause therapy and chakra psychology. What have I got coming up? Well, something exciting that I do have coming up is that I am working on some packages for a new website, and I'm actually quite keen to get this website done because it's been missing for quite a long time. And I'm working with a promoter, and he's been absolutely gagging at me to get this website done. So there's a new website coming up, and I'll be offering some impressive and exploring packages for all the types of work that I do.
Thank you, Caroline. That's exciting news. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Justina MUTALE, can you give our audience some background about what you do and the value that you're bringing to this planet and what you have going on that's coming up?
Yeah, I'd just first like to congratulate Caroline on all her fantastic, phenomenal work that she's doing. I am the author of The Art of Iconic Leadership, which reviews the power secrets of female world leaders. And in that book, I delve into the natural traits that make women better leaders than their male counterparts. And women do this because of the natural wisdom. They use the natural traits that we are all born with, and sometimes we don't realize them until a certain time. And I call those traits powers, and these are the powers that we all have within us. So I help you to master the art of iconic leadership by utilizing your natural wisdom and natural leadership traits. The exciting thing that I have coming about, we are going to have a summit bringing together royal women leaders, queens and princesses from different parts of the world, so that we can talk about how they utilize their natural wisdom to be the leaders that they are, how they positively impact their communities. That's the exciting thing I'm working on. There are, of course, a lot of others, but I think this is the one I should highlight here. Thank you.
Congratulations to you as well. That is very exciting. Thank you. And I'll just share a little bit about myself. I'm the founder and creator of this platform, USA Global TV and Radio, and my goal is to continuously explore growth opportunities so that we can be on more platforms across the world. We now have a partnership with Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, Amazon Live, and also Zizzle TV. And Zizzle TV, if you haven't heard of them, they were founded by Kirk, who's down here in Miami, and they celebrate ethnicity. So they're on over 300 different platforms, which is fantastic. So when I'm not doing something with this platform, I'm writing books and I'm coaching people on how to listen. I'm also a fitness instructor, and I'm also a certified coach. So I help people learn how to interview. I also help people learn what is the crux of the problem that's preventing them from being the broadcaster they want to be. Many times it has to do with self-esteem issues or something deep-seated in their past that's preventing them from showing up the way they want to show up. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you both for being here. Dr. Madeline Chan is not able to be with us. She's on holiday today, and we had two guests who booked in, but one got confused about the time and the other one had something else that came up that was pressing. So let's talk about the benefit of hindsight. Carolyn, you came up with this topic. What were you thinking?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Well, mine's a bit meaty, actually, because I got married in the year 2000, which was a millennium wedding. And we had 2 years to plan it. So it was a long engagement. I was actually going out with him for almost 4 years. And we weren't even in the same city. I was in Birmingham, he was in London. So we had a long distance relationship for 3.5 years. And it was moonlit weekends and exciting times. And it was always fun. And 6 months before we got married, I moved in with him. And 3 months before we got married, I turned around and I said, I don't think that we should get married. And his opinion and his response was, it's too late. Too many people are expecting us to be married. So we have to go ahead. And so even he felt it. So with the benefit of hindsight, I wouldn't have been feeling that I had to do something just because we'd made that very public commitment. And in saying that, I always look for a silver lining because, you know, it was difficult. You know, I'd left my hometown and my friends, my social life and everything behind. I actually created a new social life, a new group of friends. And more importantly, after that, I moved out of the family home and then created my own home after the marriage ended. There was challenges, but I feel that I probably would have stayed in my family home and never moved to London and had the opportunities that I had. So with the benefit of hindsight, I shouldn't have got married. But you know what? I'm glad about the benefits after it.
Thank you for being so open about that, Caroline. That is a big time in your life when you're supposed to do something and everyone knows about it. I can relate to it because I was standing at the top of the aisle ready to walk down and I saw him down there and I thought, oh, I don't want to do this. This is not the right thing. And I thought you have to go through with it. But, you know, I do know of people who did not go through with it. They're standing maybe even at the altar and they just changed their mind. So Dr. Justina, anything that you want to share along those lines, maybe something personal that you're looking back on now and thinking, oh, wow, I really knew I shouldn't have done that? Or
Not really, but I think you know, I don't know if you've heard the poem by some people attribute it to Nelson Mandela and others to Marianne Williamson, where they say that you don't have to kind of dim your light just so that other people around you can feel secure, or the people that are around you can feel insecure. I came to learn about that that poem a little bit late in life, and I think with hindsight, had I known that I didn't have to play my abilities down just to suit the people that were around me, I would have advanced much more than I have now. I think when we are young, you have the peer pressure where you are trying to impress your friends. And then sometimes your friends or your peers do not understand you because you could be a little bit more advanced than they are, or your light kind of shines brighter than their light. And then you are thinking, oh, but I can't go higher or quicker than my friends. You want to fit in with you want to fit in with the group. So but had I known I could just go and I will find people that are at the same plane of life as myself, then I would have just zoomed off, taken on. I think that is one thing I can think of right now.
I love the fact that you shared that.
Held my journey back in just trying to fit in with people.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And I think, and I'd like to just discuss this with the two of you. I know as a woman, and I've known plenty of other women who really did play down a lot of their capabilities because they didn't want to intimidate anyone, or they wanted to be liked and not ostracized. So why do you think we do that, other than what I just shared?
Well, I'd like to make a comment about that, because I used to hang around a lot of very local kids, you know, boys and girls. A lot of the young boys were perhaps not as educated in the same way. And that's not to say that I was trying to make myself feel more educated. It was just that I used to use a lot of long words. And I frequently got, the feedback, well, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? And explain yourself. And that doesn't make sense. And when I had that feedback so constant from the group of people that I was hanging around with, I stopped using those kind of words. And I felt that I literally dumbed down myself and talked at the level that they were speaking with me at. And I was frequently told, you use too many long words, or you're very verbose. And I didn't appreciate that they were feeling uncomfortable. So I did dumb myself down, and I had people that were educated and that knew me actually made the comments that they felt that I was being less than what I really am.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you, Caroline. Dr. Justina, what do you think about what Caroline just said?
Yeah, that is also my experience, as I had already explained. And I think that happens to a lot of people. We all want to, I think, try to fit in with the people around us. And also sometimes you could be more advanced than the people around you, and they think that you are crazy. For like the way what Caroline said, she would use some words and talk about some stuff that people thought that she was just crazy. Then she's got to stop talking about those things just so that she can fit in with the people around her, so that they can understand her. But then in that poem by Nelson Mandela and Mariam Wilson, it goes on to say that you should let your light shine, and as your light shines, then it affects other people and also brings them up to your level. So rather than us having been dumping ourselves down, with hindsight, we should have just let our light shine and then brought the other people to our level, rather than us going down to their level.
I agree with that. There's been a statement I've heard many, many times that if you're the smartest one in the room, you need to go to another room. So
yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yes.
It's quite interesting, because when I left school and I stopped hanging around the group of people, and I loved them to bits, and it was my sort of my people. I went to college, and after being at college for a year, I went to visit some of my teachers. And my maths teacher I got on really, really well with, and he turned around to me and he said, "You've changed. There's confidence oozing out of you now." And he says, "You just seem so much lighter and brighter and happier." And he says, "What's going on? What have you done?" I said, "Well, I'm doing something I really enjoy." And I was with other people that were also enjoying. I actually became a pastry chef and baker and confectioner, and I was training to do that. And I loved decorating cakes and making all these fancy breads. And I was just loving it. And I was around people that were the same, that had the same interests, and I just sparkled.
Are you still baking?
Oh no, that was a long time ago. I don't bake it.
You loved it so much, but yet you gave it up.
Well, the industry changed. I saw frozen dough, frozen sponges, frozen chocolate eclairs coming in, and apple turnovers. I used to make all of that from scratch, and croissants and bread. And then I saw frozen dough, and it was all coming in frozen, and the skill went out of it. So I went from literally making all these very exotic things to going to Holland & Barrett as a manager. So I went from sticky buns and cakes to health food.
Yeah, that's a big switch. It really is. I don't want to digress about food, but I do have another comment. I remember when I was growing up, it's a family, made a big deal about dinner. And my father would always say, "We're dining here. We're here for hours dining," And today I think to myself, I'm counting every calorie, right? And I'm fasting for so many hours. And it just seems to have changed the whole experience of eating. Now it's eating to fuel your body as opposed to eating for pleasure. And I really miss those days and those eclairs. I have had eclairs recently. Don't tell anyone. But anyway, back to the topic. Dr. Justina, my question for you, and then we'll go to Caroline. There are people who are historians. This is their job. They study history. They look back on how this happened and how it impacted things. What do you think about spending a certain amount of time literally examining, exploring everything you did in the past to learn something and apply it to the future? Or do you say, okay, the past is in the past. I'm not focused on that. I'm on the here and now.
No, I think that we learn from the past. They do say that a person that doesn't know their past, then that person is a lost person and they cannot have a future. So the past, of course, teaches us a lot of lessons. And some are good lessons, some are bad lessons, and others are ugly lessons. But nevertheless, in each one of those lessons, we do learn a lot of things. And then, they keep saying history repeating itself. So sometimes there are some stuff that you don't want repeated that happened in the past. You want to improve, to kind of improve on those. So the past actually is a good teacher, because you can look back and think, okay, with hindsight, perhaps I should have done this differently, or I should have handled a certain situation differently, and then things wouldn't be the way they are now, which is the future from that past. So yeah, the past is always good to learn from. We could say that the past has gone. We can't dwell on it, but it is good to learn the lessons that the past has taught us so that we don't repeat those mistakes in the future or in the present.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Justina. I agree with what you said. I think that there's a lot of validity there. Now, Caroline, as a therapist, what about when we are constantly bringing up the past in our relationship? Well, 10 years ago, you said this. 5 years ago, you were promised to take the trash. I mean, what about those studying of the past?
Well, if somebody, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, some people do live in the past when they do bring up those things about something that happened years ago. And when somebody is doing that, they're actually living their present, their current life in the past, and not experiencing the moment of the moment that they're in, which means that they're missing out, and they're missing out of the nuances and the adventure of being in that very moment of the experience, because what happened in the past is one experience, but then with time, with different experiences, we may have a different experience in that same situation. And if we're saying, when I did that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and this happened, so I'm not doing it again, it's really very harmful, because you don't give yourself the opportunity to grow. One of the things that I have done over the years, and I still do, is I've explored my consciousness in all sorts of training. And in the exploration of consciousness, I've worked out the decisions and the things that I did that I was probably very unconscious about, and moved to a place of where I am now, and why things have happened now that have been a result of my experiences and things that I did in my past, in my childhood. And I would say and agree with Dr. Justina totally that it is absolutely about gaining the wisdom from those experiences so that you can grow and move forward. So when you don't make the same mistakes, and more to the point, that you actually feel enriched by the fact that you had that experience. And when you learn the lessons, that means that experience doesn't come back and haunt you so that you have to go through it all over again. But when people are living in the past and always bringing up the past, they're never creating or giving themselves an opportunity to create more enriching and different experiences for their life.
Thank you, Caroline. I think that's valid too. A follow-up question I have is, what about, because I've done this myself, when you're literally beating yourself up for something that you did that you can't undo. It's already over, right? Maybe it was 20 years ago and it pops into your head. You felt like you've dealt with it, but then it's resurfacing.
Well, when that happens, it's because what energetically, we're very much energy beings, we're space and energy, without getting too deep into this, we are very much energetic beings. And what happens is situations arise, and it's like the universal, whatever you want to call it, the powers that be, wherever you see yourself, is that you are strong enough to be able to cope. So it kind of comes back for you to experience again, so that you can move through the challenge, experience the feelings and the emotions, so that you can move and grow through it, so that you become a more enriched person because you've had the experience. Many of us, when we have an experience that's difficult or challenging, we shut down. We shut down the emotions and feelings so we don't get hurt. And we feel that we can't talk about things that make us feel painful and make us cry. So we shut it off. And that is not the best way. And so what happens is different triggers will come that will remind you of experiences that were difficult, for you to come through that so that you can evolve as an emotional and a spiritual being.
That's very deep.
I know. Well, you got me on it. This was my this was my interesting topic.
No, I understand what you're saying. My father used to say a bad penny always turns up. And I think that things from the past are there to remind us, maybe, or it's kind of like that red flag going, hey, remember when you had this option to go down this road or that road, try this other road. Now, something else I'd like to discuss, especially as parents, or when you're in a familiar relationship with someone, you may say, when I was your age. So in other words, you're taking your past and now you're imposing it on someone else. Dr. Justina, have you ever done that? Or can you think of any experiences where someone's done that to you?
I have, and sometimes I don't keep saying when I was your age I did this and that, and sometimes I just compare the times. For example, sometimes I say, "Oh, of course, we also wore those minis when we were teenagers or in university. So this is not a new thing. It is a fashion that we have also been through." And then I also try to use my past, like to think of the things that I did when I was that age, because that age, so I can understand the young people when they do those same things, because they are some parents or some older people who kind of always condemning the young people, like they never did the same things that they did. For example, wearing mini skirts or hot pants, or going dancing throughout the night to a nightclub and coming home and having to throw up. All things like that. I remember my daughter, she's 23, and she's at university, and the last holiday she came home and she just went and spent the night in the bathroom because she was trying to throw up. I felt so sorry for her. But I remember the time that I also did that. So I did not shout at her or to tell her off that is bad behavior, because I had been through that. I just told her to be very, very careful, because sometimes we've heard on television elsewhere how some boys or some friends might spike your drink if you're not very careful, or if you get too drunk, they might take advantage of you and things like that. So it's to kind of just advise what the implications are of the things that the young people are doing. But when you really look closely, you find that most of the things that at every stage young people are going through, we went through ourselves. We did all the foolishness and the stupid things that they are doing now, and our parents perhaps had to be the ones to take us through those those stages of telling us why we shouldn't be doing it this way. But I think it is good, and also the past. You can't totally forget the past because it makes up who you are. It makes up the person that you are. It makes up all the 63 years that I have lived on this earth. So if I were to totally forget the past, then was I only born today? You know, it is the what you call it. It is my foundation in a way. It is what makes me who I am today, because it's the journey that I have taken to get to where I am today. And so I never really use that word in a derogatory way to the young people, to say, when I was your age, I did this differently, or when I was your age, we all did stupid things when we were that age.
I'm laughing about the story you share because I know myself, I've been through that many years ago. But I think also when someone's going through something like that, or a hard time, or they've made a decision and it didn't work out the way that they would have liked it to be, and then you have someone going, well, how do you feel about it now? Now you're sick, and you wouldn't be sick if you didn't do this or that. And, now somebody's lecturing you and you already feel horrible.
Horrible, yeah.
It's like, stop, I know already. You don't have to tell me. So, Caroline, when you're working with a client and the client is seemingly preoccupied with the past, does that indicate anything?
Yes, it means that they're in when they're focused in the past, it's because they're in their mind. They're not actually in their sensory experiences. And so when they're in their mind, they're distant and disconnected in terms of their sensory experiences in their everyday. So they're having conversations going round and round in the mind and not feeling and experiencing the pleasure and the sensory experiences of taste, sight, sound. They're literally cut off from what is going on. And from that perspective, they're not living, they're existing. And it's something that I speak to my clients on a regular basis about, especially if they call me up and they come and see me and they're talking about having high levels of anxiety or depression, because depression and anxiety and stress all live in the mind. And if we're not in the mind and we breathe down into our sensories, then there is no stress or anxiety or depression, and there is no disconnection. And if you look at babies, they're not thinking or analyzing or thinking about the past. They're just being in that very moment of a sensory experience. And so it isn't the same for them. And just moving into, the feedback that you wanted from do you say, when I was young, I have to confess, I do say quite regularly, when I was young, it wasn't like this. And it's not to be nasty. It's actually saying that it felt freer when I was young. We didn't have all the pictures taken. If we fell over and we hurt ourselves and we were covered in mud, there wasn't the fear of being that video being captured and like sort of portrayed there forever. There wasn't people, children taking pictures of each other, in the most ludicrous situations. And so I feel that, we had a much freer time of being a child and not so focused on how we looked, and we went scrimping and we did things, going into the canals, and we just did things that it didn't matter. I felt that, we were kids for much longer, and we climbed trees, and it didn't matter how dirty or grimy you looked because nobody was taking pictures. And also the music of when I was growing up was much more bubbly and sugary and fun and light. And when I speak to young people, they constantly tell me that they love the 80s music, and they're listening to bands that I was listening to, and they're still listening to ABBA. I never really grew up because all the music that I was listening to then is still around. So I do frequently say to people not to be derogatory about what it's like now to them personally, but just saying, you know, I just loved when I was a child and I still haven't grown up because it's still around me and I'm still dancing and I'm still having fun. And it's because the music is still with me and all the bands are still touring as well that I was dancing to. So I do it in a way that says, I felt that it was easier and I had an easier time than our young people do today.
Lots of really valid points there, Caroline. And especially, I mean, I just know basically anywhere I go, there's cameras. We're always being watched, right? They're watching us, the traffic lights, they're watching us in public forums. It's crazy. And so people are videotaping all the time. You never even know if somebody's taking a picture of you or video. And so that in and of itself is definitely challenging. I wanted to bring up about music because you mentioned that, and I kind of have an issue with music right now because I teach fitness classes and I've been called out about my music, that I'm very high energy, but I play old music because I love the 70s. I love the 80s, and the younger people don't want to hear the music. And they actually will take the time to write a review and say, you know, they don't want that music. They want the music of today. Whereas I like music from all different generations, but especially if it has an upbeat. I notice a lot of the music today has words that my mother would not want me saying, but it's just kind of crazy. I try to find songs that don't have the E explicit on them next to, you know, on Spotify. I'm like, I keep looking and looking and looking. So I don't know. There's something to be said about that too. But anyway, we're coming to the end of our show, and I'd love to have you both share what advice you would have to people out there without saying, well, what I think you should do is, but maybe some tips that you have about taking into consideration the journey. Like Dr. Justina mentioned, it's about the journey of life and embracing all the aspects of your life. So Dr. Justina, what would you say to young people out there today?
I think they should live their lives, live the moment, and experience life to the fullest. We have seen some people, for example, friends of ours, perhaps, who got married too early, like at 17, and then perhaps they got divorced by 25 or by 40. And then they are trying to go backwards and live the life that we may have lived at that age, but this time they have to be finding themselves in the nightclubs with their own children or even grandchildren. It's because in a way they kind of missed a bit somewhere of their lives. So it is good to be young, to enjoy your age at every stage of your life. Live your life to the fullest. As they say, life's for the living. So if you're alive, you need to live your life.
And I think that's a statement that you use, you put on some of your Facebook posts, don't you? Life is for the living.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I love that. I love all your posts. They always make me smile.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Justina. Caroline, as a therapist, what advice do you have?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I loved everything that Dr. Justina mentioned, and I would like to add to what she's mentioned. Reduce your screen time. I know that we're on screen right now, but when you're in your phone constantly, it actually makes your brain work harder and it's harder to switch off. And I know quite a lot of young people do reduce their screen time. And there is an epidemic of very young children, sort of that just left school and young, that have they've grown up with their screens and with their phones, which is very unlike us three here today. And being in your screen actually means that you will be less able to interact because you're interacting with your screen. And that's why Instagram is like it is, where it's short sound bites, and it's very difficult for you to interact and socialize in a much more connected way. So my tip for you is to, one, reduce your screen time, and two, go out with friends without your phones, or at least put your phone away and be with them rather than being on your phone, and be present to the conversation rather than checking your messages. And rather than thinking that you have to film each other, enjoy the moment that you're in, because if you're in the space of looking for the next photo opportunity, it sometimes is really difficult for you to be fully present and enjoy the moment. And I'm awful at taking the pictures when I should be taking them, because I'm too fully engaged in the moment that I'm in. And so frequently other people take pictures and then I have to chase them for them, because I'm not very good. I'm too involved in being in what I'm doing. And that's the tip that I would give you. Be involved in what you're doing and enjoy each and every moment, because your time is precious here on this earth and we are here for a very short time. So be present and enjoy your experience rather than escaping into the mind and the stress and the anxiety of the situations that you're thinking about.
We're here for a short time, but we're here for a fun time, Caroline, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think both of you shared really great tips for not just for younger people. I'm taking it to heart as well. I have an Apple Watch, not a paid spokesperson. I have my watch on, and without my watch, I'm going crazy. It's like I left the house a couple of times to teach fitness classes, and I didn't have the watch. I'm like, I've got to have the watch because it measures every calorie, it measures how many hours I'm standing, and I'll get little things. It's time for you to stand up. So I've become addicted to this watch. I feel like we have to break up for a while.
Yeah, you can take a break from your watch and see how it feels to be liberated.
I don't know. I stopped sleeping with it on because it was tracking my sleep, and I wasn't happy with the reports I was getting. So I even had an app on my watch, and the app measured your emotions. And the first day that I had it on, it was all red, like for anger. And I was like, that's it. And I deleted the app. I was like, that's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. Probably was true. But I'd love for you to both share how people can get in touch with you. And when they do get in touch with you, what's that experience like? Let's start with Dr. Justina.
They can get in touch with me on all social media platforms at Justina Mutale, and of course my email justinamutale@justinamutale.com or justinamutale@hotmail.com. My website is also www.justinamutale, and some people could just Google me and they will find me there. It would be good to get in touch, but only for important stuff, so to speak.
All right. Can you describe what that would be so people know?
It's difficult to say what it is because you get all kinds of things coming through our inboxes on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Sometimes people just say hello, you say hello back. How are you? You say, I'm fine, thank you. What are you doing? Or funny things like that. So people have to be specific in what it is they are contacting you for. And it will be good if people can explain, especially if you are coming into somebody's inbox, whether it's on WhatsApp, in LinkedIn, Instagram, or even Facebook. You can't just be saying hello because it's not a telephone. And so where do we take this conversation? I'd rather somebody explains exactly what it is they are contacting me for, so I can understand them. And of course I will respond to the person.
I'm so glad that you explained that, because I just want to say to people out there, people contact me all the time about things that have nothing to do with me. Are you interested in shipping to China? What am I shipping? I'm not I'm not a manufacturing company. Did you get my last message about shipping? And then they keep bothering you. I know you're busy, so I'm putting this at the top of your inbox. Delete. And on LinkedIn, people can see exactly what you do, and yet they reach out with things that have nothing to do with what you're doing, and they're constantly pushing at you, right? Instead of like understanding what it is that you're doing and how they can help, they're always selling you. So that was another show that I think we did already. But Caroline, how do people contact you, and what's that experience like once they do?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I so endorse your experience with people just coming in and asking you for things that you don't do, or you can't take part of in terms of their services. I really appreciate your frustration because I feel the same. So you can contact me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me if you're international, +44 if you're local, 07523 120 189. And when you contact me, you will feel incredibly relaxed. You will feel like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders. You will see things differently because you'll gain a new perspective when you contact me, if you reach out to me because there's something going on for you. And that's because working with chakra psychology and root cause therapy, what that does is that always I can see what's causing your problems. So you will feel like a weight's been lifted and you will feel relaxed. And more importantly, you're going to have an incredible night's sleep. So please do contact me. You can reach me also on all the social media platforms. My preferred platforms are Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm just getting to grips with Instagram, but Facebook and LinkedIn are my preferred platforms. And also, if you Google my name and USA and YouTube, you will see all of my videos, and they're pure content. And so it'll help you with any manner of symptoms or related stresses that you might have. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Bust your stress, bust your stress. Excellent. You know, a comment I just wanted to make about something that you just said. I was not on Instagram and actively doing anything because I don't know. I don't feel like it fits in with my personality, my messaging. And we weren't able to live stream there. We can now. But what I found since I started teaching fitness classes is that the people who are taking the classes are on Instagram. That is where they spend their time, Instagram and TikTok. And so now I'm finding Instagram has a different size for the content that you have to, I have to create special graphics to go over there. But I feel like it's been a value because more people are finding out about us through that medium, but that's definitely not my preferred platform. But plenty of people are making a lot of money from their whole sales channel is Instagram. So it is interesting. So, well, that's our show for today. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for being here, ladies.
It has been fun, and the show's gone really quickly. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. It's been such fun. Yeah. With the benefit of hindsight.
Yes.
That's right. And what our audience doesn't know, I said a little bit about it in the beginning, but we already started the show and we were already into the show for, I think, 8 or 9 minutes when I realized I didn't put the go live button. We had to start all over again. So thank you for your patience with me. I really appreciate it. All right. We'll see you both later. Thank you again. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. And thank you, everyone. If you're interested in getting in touch with me, you want to be a guest on this or any of our other shows, please do reach out. Here's my contact information. And you can reach me on Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com. You can go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. And if you're interested in getting some coaching for maybe podcasting that you're doing or interviewing skills that you want to work on, I'm happy to work with you there. You can go to my other website, which is drjacalyn.com. All the information that you need is there. Thank you to our friends over on E360 TV as well. I'm super glad that you are joining us. And again, if you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, just go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. All right, we're going to hear from some of our sponsors as we close out the show. We love our sponsors, so please do take a look and reach out to them as well. Bye for now. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they are instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you. This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecarruth.com, ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event.